and I'll run you through our report navigator module. And I hope everyone is familiar with the EHRM system, which I've logged in right now in the EHRM mode. So right down here you can see the report navigator module icon. So this is the EHRM module report navigator landing page, and on your left you can see the functions that are available for this particular module. Module configuration, uh, user groups, add reports, assign users to user groups, assign reports to user group, and my reports. And on your right hand side, these functions are very similar, I mean, common to all the modules available within the system. As in, if you're within the organization chart and you click on show module reports, it will only list reports relevant to the respective module that you're in. So let me take you through these functions here. And before I go through, I'll just give you a background on certain technical, like the technology we've used and what sort of report crystal, I mean, component that we are currently using as well. Report Navigator is a .NET developed application. We are using Crystal Reports XIR2, and these are the two main components, Crystal Reports, Crystal XIR2, and run you through the module configuration now. I mean, this is one of the most simplest modules within the HRM enterprise uh, application. Okay, so right here, what we're going to do is we're going to define our hierarchy, as in this is sort of a categorization of the reports. So here you can define your modules, the levels, and if there are any sub levels for each individual module, you can go ahead and define that as well. So there is no big functionality in this screen. It's just letting us organize our reports within the module in a much more cleaner way. So you have the functions new, delete, reset, and save. These functions are very similar to uh, all of the pages within the system, right? And you do end up during the initial setup stage, you end up with a default set of modules defined. If there are anything else, then you all can go ahead and define your own, right? So I'll take you back to the landing page. Right? Now, user groups, don't mix up the concept of user groups with the security user group. The security user group and the report navigator user groups are two different functions, and even though they I mean, provide the same functionality, but they're completely two different uh, functional pages. The purpose of the user groups in Report Navigator is we're going to create a group, we're going to assign users to that particular group, and then we're going to use these attributes for that particular group. So let's say, let's select one of these groups here. Okay. So I'll explain the attributes that are here. Display subordinates only. Now, by clicking on the first option, this basically tells the system all reports within this group will only display subordinate information, whereas all your subordinates information will only be displayed within for whatever reports that are assigned within this group. Secondly, display my indirect subordinate details. So which means not your direct subordinate. If your subordinates have subordinates for themselves, then they also will be listed within whatever report that is within this group, right? Now, once you have all the above two selected, you cannot use my details only, right? There's a small validation that will fire saying that if you are using my details only, you cannot use these two. So when you say my details only, the group that is, I mean, the reports under this particular group saying my details only will only display your details, right? And no subordinate, no indirect subordinate, nothing as such will be displayed using that report. There's a small technical point that I need to mention here. When you say my details only, you need to make sure that the report that is being viewed by that particular user or anyone has the HSHR employee table reference, which means only if this particular report has the employee table within its query will my details only work. So let's say you create a report with some general information of a particular employee without his name or without the use of the HS underscore HR underscore employee table. This is the main table within our system to that holds employee information. So let's say you create this report without the HSHR employee table and you assign that to this particular group that says my details only. Once the viewer tries having a look, like opens the report, you will not uh, see any filtration working, right? Basically, you will end up with all of the details, not only yours, even depending on your security, whatever information that you're being allowed to see, everything will be displayed. Reason being that you're not using the HSHR employee table within your report. So that is something that you should all keep in mind, because there are times when during implementation the engineers they come to us and they ask us why is this report not working, it's still showing all the details instead of this particular logged in users details. So the main reason for that is the table has not been referenced. So there are certain tables that reports that are using this table. So for those reports, this function would work directly. And if you are to implement, I mean, use this function to whatever existing report that doesn't have the table, then you need to get the developer to redesign the report in a way that it incorporates the HSHR employee table. Right. So it's pretty much defining your security, I mean, report navigator groups, right? So there is no limit on the number of groups that you create, right? When you're creating a group name, just and if there is a possibility of you having the same name for another group, whereas let's say you'll have one group saying my details only, saying Malaysian payroll, and then you'll have another group saying Malaysian payroll with my subordinate details only. Then I think it's best that you have unique names placed in, because when the user goes into his report, he'll end up with the same name for two different reports, right? And so I suggest that you use uh, slightly unique names for each group, right? Continuing back to add reports. Okay, so there is a problem there. I'll just explain what add reports are. Add reports are basically where you select the group that you want to add the report to, and uh, whatever predefined reports that you have, you simply upload it into the system. Now, before that, in the web configuration file of Report Navigator, once you open it up, so you have the web configuration file which states the path to which all the reports are stored. Right. So this is the web configuration file for Report Navigator, and there is a section called App Settings. Within that, there will be a key called Report Path. Now, this path should point to a valid folder which has all your reports stored. Right. So this is a one-time job done by the implementation team, and it's also updated by the setup application. But then, if the report navigator keeps popping up saying the report is not available, which means you're pointing to the wrong, folder, right? So as you can see in the configuration file, you also have these settings, right? The reason that we are having this here is once you set this to true, this will override whatever settings that I have already defined to all the groups. So I suggest you right now that we haven't actually used this function, but we've used it individually on each group. But just for your information, if you do set this any of these values to true, all the groups that have been created will automatically default onto this value, which means switch on to you can enable display my details true for all groups instead of individually going to each group and editing it. Right. And also, there are a few more keys here. Certain customers would say, okay, look here, I don't need the print button, or I don't need the export button. Just try and hide the toolbar. So you can use these keys here uh, to hide or show the respective function on the report, which I will show you later. So you have the refresh button, export, print, and the entire toolbar. Okay. Now, since I'm in this configuration file, I'll just explain some of the keys that are here. One, this is a new feature that we've introduced. I mean, sorry, not feature, the new attribute that we introduced is reuse parameter values on refresh, which means, let's say the user views the report for the first time, selecting whatever parameters. In case the user refreshes the report, what happens is it will start prompting you for the parameter values again. So by setting this to true, where by default it's true, uh, the module will basically use the last entered values uh, while you refresh the report. And one more thing about the one of the most important keys here is the print mode. Okay, now in this we've set ActiveX. Now there's a problem here. Once you set this to ActiveX, you need to remember that ActiveX doesn't work on Firefox and Chrome or any other browser other than IE. So if your client is actually using IE throughout, then yeah, that's fine. You can set it to ActiveX. Otherwise, if they are mostly Firefox or Chrome users, this would be the setting, PDF, right? Which means the user will view the report on the web as usual, but when he clicks print, it would actually generate a PDF, download it to the client's PC, and uh, use Acrobat Reader if it's available on the PC, and then print it. This is because Chrome and Firefox and all the other browsers except IE doesn't support ActiveX. Right. Uh, okay. So you can basically ignore these functions here. These are some internally used uh, settings. Another new feature that we introduced to this report navigator is force connect reporting server. Now, what this setting does is, okay, let's say y'all have implemented the system in one of the clients who has a huge payroll process running. Now, during the payroll process, when if you try to view a report that is actually consuming one of the tables that the process is also using, your report is going to jam up. It's going to freeze, right? So what we've done is within our enterprise application, we've instructed the payroll system to do the processing on a separate server, right? No, sorry. We transfer the information on a lab. We replicate our primary database to a secondary DB, and we connect report navigator to the secondary DB. Whereas the payroll is running on doing the process on the primary database without any disturbance, while any other user who wants to view reports will be connected to the secondary DB. So there won't be any deadlocks in between. So by setting this to true, uh, you need to mention the reporting server name and the database in which you want to connect. But then you'll be wondering where is the database credentials, as in the username and password that you're going to use to connect to the secondary DB. Well, there is no username or password. When we create or when we implement this system to this pattern, we use the same primary DB username and password that we use for the uh, primary database. So the secondary will have the same username password of the database, but the database name would be different, right? So this is something that you need to keep in mind, that if the customer has a problem of connecting or viewing reports during a payroll process, well, these settings will help you out to resolve that. Right. So I will move back into the report navigator. Okay. So assign users to user groups. So what you're going to do is you're going to select your group and click on add employees. This will basically bring up a small search option, and you can search based on the criteria is given there. Okay. I'll just go ahead and add a few, and so that's basically assigning employees to a particular reporting user group. So now once you assign reports, users to the particular user group, next is to assign the reports to the user group. Now the difference between add reports and assign reports to the user group are two different functions. Add is basically registering a new report into the system, whereas assigning you reports to a user group is you're telling the system, look here, there are registered reports of so many numbers, but I want these few reports to be assigned to this particular group. So let's go in there, and these are all registered reports within the system. So let's select one of the groups, right? And all you have to do is just select the reports that you want to assign, right? and just click on assign. So now you've basically assigned those particular reports to that user group. So all the users within that group will only be able to view these particular reports. So which means if the user simply comes into the report navigator and goes into my reports, if he hasn't been assigned any reports, he won't see any reports listed for him to access. The other thing is, once you add a report, it doesn't mean that simply because the report is being added to the system that all the users can actually access it. Unless otherwise you assign that to a particular group, will then only the users be able to view this report. So I'll take you back to the main menu, and this is one of the most important. All these functions are pretty much one time, right? Unless otherwise you create a new group or you come out with a new report. Other than that, everyone will be using, especially the front-end users, will be using my reports. Now, when I say my reports, all reports assigned to me, that's Smith, to whichever group that I belong to, all the reports will be listed here. You also have a function of seeing your reports in a group. Now, this is where, like the module configuration, the first thing that we did, right? Once you select that, whatever that is assigned under the EIN will be listed here. Because once you add a report to the system, what happens is you select the report that you want to upload, then you select the group that you created in a module configuration, and then you upload it. So basically, it's sort of a categorization of the reports. So all the reports that are displayed here are ones that have been assigned to whatever group that I am in. So clicking on this, let's take employee profile report. Okay, so the report does not exist in the reporting directory. So like the message says, the report is not available in that folder that I was pointing uh, pointing the module to. So let's take one of the base reports that should be available. Right, the age analysis. Sure, this should be there. Okay, then that's what I want there. Right. So basically, once you click on one of these reports, all you end up is um, a preview of the report that you selected. Let me try to see if there is a report that is already within the folder. Okay. So anyway, I think there's something wrong with the reports that are within this server. You'll end up with the report navigator preview of the report that you've selected, and I hope everyone has the report navigator module installed on their PC, so they can have a go at it. Remember, this is one of the most simplest modules in the suite of all the HRM enterprise, and there is no serious logic behind configuring this. Simply assigning the reports, registering, assigning, and then pretty much viewing. And when it comes to security, all these reports will only display information based on your data security policies. And right, is there any questions that you would like to ask about this module? Uh, okay, and now there's a question asked here about the output formats that you can generate through Crystal. You can get PDF, CSV files, CSV with or without headers, and then I said PDF. Yeah. Most of the export functions that are available will depend on the drivers that you have on the client's PC. So I wouldn't say that you'll have this set of export options because it varies from PC to PC, and this is solely dependent on the client and nothing to do with the server's environment. Generally, it will be PDF, Excel also with or without headers, right? But in PDF, we do there's a known issue, but we do have a workarounds fix for it. This issue is basically in Crystal XIR2 itself in its PDF generating component, where in certain environments when the user prints, it's not the size that you see on the screen that is actually printed. Okay, you might see content for a page, I mean for one A4 size page on your screen, but once you print, it will probably be half of that. It will be much smaller. So there's nothing to panic about it. There's a workaround, and it's a known issue in Crystal XIR2. Uh, when you guys do come across that, let us know. We will send you a documentation pack with certain server registry changes that you need to do on that particular client server. So for that, we will have to get respective security rights from the client's administrator and so on. So there is a workaround for it. There is no need to panic when that issue arises. But in a new version of Report Navigator, we're trying to actually sort this problem out, and we do have a plan of changing our components from Crystal reports to some much more lighter component, which we are right now in the process of doing a few R&D uh, projects to see how feasible it is. So till then, it's Crystal XIR2, and well, that's it. And then I think we promised that we're going to talk about Crystal on a report scheduler. Well, right now in this instance that I'm running, we don't have the report scheduler configured, but we will do that session uh, in a later date. But uh, let's see. I think Gail would contact you on that date. So, is there any questions about Report Navigator that you would like to ask me? Yeah. So the question that was asked for me right now was if the customer has a requirement of creating his own report, will they be able to create it and use it within our report navigator? Well, the answer is yes. As long as they know what tables they're using within our enterprise database, and they have the right editing tool. For example, Crystal Reports XIR2, they can create their own report and basically add it to our reporting module through the add reports function. So that's possible.